This week around Windows Server 2008 Hyper-V R2, some key capabilities. First of all, we have some features around processor capabilities. So, for example, we now support 64 logical processors, which means we support machines with even more cores, more symmetric multi-threads than ever before. And in fact, we've updated the virtual machine count. We can actually run up to 384 virtual machines on a single server, as well as up to 512 virtual processors for a single server. So, for example, 256 dual processor virtual machines on a single server. So we've done some pretty outstanding things around scalability.
So scaling's really gone up compared to the first version of Hyper-V in this new R2 release.
This is a 4x improvement over R1. R1 supported 16 logical processors, and now we're up to 64.
Okay.
Another new key capability is processor compatibility. And I have to admit, this has been really a big buzz item. I've talked to numerous people about this. And really the goal with processor compatibility is as you start to create live migration in clusters, the first question always comes out of people's mouth is, do I have to have processors with exactly the same, do they have to be exactly the same processors for every server that's participating in a live migration cluster? And in the past, that answer has been yes. With processor compatibility, actually, the answer is no. What we've done is we've actually normalized the processor so that you can take a virtual machine running on something as old as an Intel Pentium 4 and actually live migrate it to something brand new like a Core i7. In fact, one of my favorite slides here talks about one of the tests that we've been running in some of the offices that we have. One of the guys next to me is running what I call Frankencluster. And Frankencluster has 4 different generations of Intel VT processors. It's got a Pentium 4 circa 2005. It's got a Core 2 Duo circa 2006. It's got a Core 2 Quad circa 2008. And it's got a Core i7 Nehalem 2009. And he's actually been live migrating virtual machines from all of these, within all of these different processor generations over the last week using an automated script with over 110,000 migrations in a week. Now, I've had a few people come to me and ask me, why would anybody do this? Doesn't everybody buy a cluster, with 16 of the same types of processors?
If they could.
If they could. Well, if they can. Certainly you could buy a 6-node cluster today, and maybe next year, maybe your OEM is upgraded to a new processor and you can't buy it anymore. Or, for example, if you're a small, medium business or K through 12 in education, a lot of those times people are trying to, unfortunately, put a whole bunch of random hardware together, and they'd like to be able to take advantage of virtualization and be able to even take advantage of capabilities like live migration. This allows them to do that. So you could actually migrate VMs from one generation of processor to another. One last thing I do have to mention, though, it is still Intel to Intel, and it is AMD to AMD. It doesn't allow you to do cross-vendor migration.
Right. But still, this really allows you to take advantage of what's base in Windows, the ability to use a variety of different hardwares, all this vendor equipment, existing equipment you have, and really leverage it to do the same level of virtualization and performance that you really need.
Definitely. And the last thing I have to point out is our Microsoft Hyper-V server. This is our standalone free product. Our Hyper-V server R1 has been going very well, and there's been a lot of buzz as we've started to announce what's going on with Hyper-V server 2008 R2, because lo and behold, it has live migration. Yes, that's right, that's not a typo. That's the free product, live migration, high availability, as well as numerous other processor enhancements, scalability enhancements that we've also put in Hyper-V R2 in Windows Server. The difference is with Hyper-V, it is just a standalone hypervisor, so there is no local UI. All you do is simply configure the system and then you manage it remotely using our free Hyper-V Manager MMC or our Windows System Center Virtual Machine Manager. And the nice thing about Virtual Machine Manager is we offer it in 2 editions. We offer a Workgroup edition for about $500, and we offer an Enterprise edition for a little over $1,000, I believe. And really the only difference between the Workgroup and the Enterprise edition is Workgroup supports up to 5 hosts, whereas Enterprise supports up to unlimited. So the last thing I wanted to point out was a little comparison in terms of cost for live migration. So with Hyper-V Server, I set up a couple of different clusters. Here's a 3-node cluster, here's a 3-node cluster with 4 socket servers, a 5-node cluster, and a 5-node cluster with 4 socket servers. And you can see with Hyper-V Server 2008 R2, well, that's a whopping free. And VMware, using the most inexpensive version that gives you live migration, that's $44,900. Of course, if I wanted to add management, I could add Virtual Machine Manager 2008 R2 Workgroup Edition and be able to do management as well, such as data center automation through PowerShell, physical to virtual conversion, VMware to Hyper-V conversion, quick storage migration, self-service portal, and a whole lot more.
So really, we're not just talking about, okay, we're adding live migration, we're adding high availability and clustering, but we fundamentally just eliminated the barrier of entry for people to do. So if you're a small or medium business, you just get it. It's fundamentally part of virtualization.
This is fun. This is all about customers. I know a lot of people say, hey, this is about VMware versus Microsoft. No, this is about what customers have been asking for, and they've been very specific. We want to use hypervisor-based virtualization. We want the high-performance stuff. We want live migration capabilities. We can't afford $2,500 per processor. And our goal is to provide rich solutions from free all the way up to enterprise for our customers and all along the way.
Well, great. Thank you, Jeff. And again, there's a series of different sessions that we've had available here at TechEd. I'm sure a lot of these slides are in there, and you can go ahead and see that and demos and all the like.
Thank you much.
So here we're at the Microsoft Virtual PC booth at TechEd 2009, and I'm here with Sandrine Skinner. And Sandrine, what have we announced here at TechEd? What's the news? Anything interesting going on, I guess?
Yeah, so during the keynote, Bill Vecti talked about VPC, the new version of VPC, which is going to be part of Windows 7. And he specifically demoed and emphasized on a new feature that's going to be part of the Windows 7 Professional Edition and above, Enterprise and Ultimate. And it's called Windows XP mode. And it is basically a VM that is pre-configured with an Windows XP copy loaded in that VM, basically.
So basically you're going to have a Windows XP VM and you'll be able to leverage the applications that are inside of it on your Windows 7 system?
That's correct. And it's mostly targeted to small and medium businesses who really buy new machines with Windows 7, and we want to make sure that they don't downgrade, that they are leveraging the best OS we have out there, which is going to be Windows 7 Professional. And we want them to actually leverage the technology and be able to also leverage their old applications that might not be compatible with Windows 7, as well as their old devices, by the way.
Oh, okay. So can we take a look at a demo?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Yeah, so Windows XP mode is basically, so to take a step back a little bit, we have a host OS, which is Windows 7. We have a new machine with Windows 7 Professional on it. And what we want to enable for small businesses, for example, is the ability to have Bob in the accounting department who uses an accounting software that only works on Windows XP to still be able to leverage that accounting software basically directly from his start menu. So Bob in the accounting department will basically go into his start menu and launch his application the same way he would actually launch any other application that is hosted on Windows 7. So this application, which is not an accounting application, but Pet Lookup here is an application. So let's pretend we're a health clinic here, a pet clinic. And I basically launched my application. And as you can see here, Edwin, the application is actually surrounded by a blue border, and it's basically telling us that it's basically hosted by XP. So the VM is basically with XP running on it.
So it's not just like in the old days where we have the second start menu and you're basically working within one window. We get this seamless app, and it was right inside the start menu.
That's correct, yes.
So it really allows those users to use the older applications, but we're basically running in Windows 7.
Yes, seamless integration from the end user's perspective as well, yeah.
Well, it's great, and we have several sessions that will cover this technology today, and obviously the keynote, and our people can go ahead and take a look at TechEd09 in order to get more information.
Yeah, awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Edwin, there's obviously a lot going on with Microsoft and virtualization. What's happening around the rest of the industry? Are our competitors doing stuff too?
Yeah, actually the biggest news that we've had since launch was that VMware has announced the next version of their software, vSphere 4.0. And we've been taking a look at what they're offering in terms of that.
Okay.
And really one of the biggest things, and obviously it has new features. One of the most surprising things is really they've added a number of different SKUs, and they've lowered the pricing on the small and medium business end. But of course, obviously, as Jeff said, we've added in live migration and high availability, some of those basic things that a lot of people expect from virtualization. But actually, one of the most surprising things is on the higher end, on that enterprise SKU that most people buy, they didn't drop the price at all. And in fact, a lot of the features that we've been hearing about that they've added have been restricted to this new higher end SKU. They call it Enterprise Plus. It's actually an add-on SKU. So there's a significant cost increase for everybody if they even want to get some of these newer features. Well, obviously we're demonstrating a lot of new features that we're just kind of putting into the versions that you get every day and even versions that we get for free.
Okay, so where do people go to find out more information about our offerings?
Well, two places. Definitely for these TechEd sessions, why don't you go to www.msteched.com and you can go to TechEd09 and take a look at what we have. And if you don't want to remember every single product or the name or what we announce, you just go to Microsoft.com/virtualization. One website, one place to go. It gives you all the latest news. We'll link you to all the products. So if you remember the product names, you can go to the product pages. Or if you just want to know about a solution or, oh, I wanted to look at something about desktop, it'll take you to everything that you need.
All right. This was really good. Thanks for your time, Edwin.
Great. Thank you.